So this video is going to be kind of a short one, just answering some of the questions I got when I put a call out for some topics to cover in these videos. I will just do a few of them now and then maybe do some more in another video. Some of the topics I got, I felt like weren't something that maybe necessitated an entire video to themselves. Maybe I'm wrong about some of that. So if there's things that I possibly could cover in more detail or that I haven't said like a very nuanced opinion about, then let me know and call me out and I'll say some more. I feel like most of this is it's quite general stuff just about my life, more kind of fun things. So I will start with my hobbies. I got some questions about what I do in my free time and what I do outside of work. Obviously, some of this I post on Instagram, but not everything. So yeah, I really like reading, which actually was a separate question, so I will get to that in a second. I like languages. I studied German when I was at school and into university. So technically I can speak German, although I don't really practice kind of ever in my daily life now. So I would say it is a little bit rusty. I've started learning Spanish, which is going okay, but kind of slowly. And I'm learning British Sign Language, which I'm really enjoying. I'm doing level 3 at the moment. There's 5 levels, but it goes up to level 6. There's no level 5. I'm actually not sure why. And with the sign language, there are exams at the end of each level. So I've just done my conversation exam and I still have my presentation and the receptive exam to go. And I think for that reason, because there's exams and you have to pass in order to get the qualification, I've been kind of putting more of my focus into that rather than the Spanish. So I think my Spanish has possibly fallen by the wayside a little bit at the moment. Yeah, I'm not really dedicating as much time to it as I might like, but yeah, I'm still going with it. I'm still doing the classes. I was doing them online for a while on Zoom, which I think I just really struggled with because I find it quite hard to focus with online classes. So I'm planning to move back to in-person classes next month. So hopefully that will be a bit easier. Yeah, so the question about reading, I got some questions like, what are you reading at the moment? Like, what kind of books do you like to read? So at the moment, I'm reading All Hookers Go to Heaven by Angel BH. I went to the book launch at the Scarlet Letters in Bethnal Green, which is a new sex worker, radical, queer bookshop that's just opened, or it's been open for a month or two. And if you live in London or you're visiting London, I would really recommend going there because, yeah, it's amazing. I could have spent so much money there. I had to really restrain myself. The book launch was really cool. I'm not quite halfway through this yet, but I'm really enjoying it. I read a lot of stuff about sex work and sex work adjacent topics. One I would really recommend is Revolting Prostitutes. It's non-fiction and it just covers sex workers' rights and discrimination across the world. It's kind of a foundational starter text for anyone who has any interest at all in sex workers' rights. Yeah, I'd really recommend it to anyone. It's incredibly comprehensive, accessible. Yes, strong recommendation. This is another one about sex work, in case you hadn't noticed the common theme. This is one, yeah, I read recently. I got it from the Feminist Bookshop in Brighton, which sadly has closed down now. I can't remember, maybe they've moved online. But yeah, it was money reasons, which is sad because it was really cute in there. This was really good. Recently, I've also been working my way through the Tales of the City series by Armistead Maupin. I actually read the first one, so this one, I guess when I was a teenager, and it didn't really do much for me, but I've got back into them, and now I just finished the 5th or 6th one. And now I'm very much there and very much in them. I'm really enjoying it. Some other things I've read recently and would recommend. This one is kind of like creepy horror. So this one's like queer body horror type thing, which is also very much my vibe. I'm kind of always reading, like I always have a book on the go. Recently they've added 5G on the tube, which is kind of annoying because it means I get like notifications on my watch and it's kind of distracting. Whereas before it was like the perfect place to just sit and read without distractions. But I'm still like treating it like that. Like whenever I'm on the tube, I'll just read, which is like the perfect time to do that. I also mentioned, did I? In my hobbies about cooking. Well, if I didn't, then I'm mentioning it now. When I've lived by myself before, I have really enjoyed cooking just for myself. But there's obviously something a lot more rewarding about cooking for other people. So between me and my boyfriend, it's usually me who does the cooking. I think that's also because I usually work from home and have the kind of more like flexibility and time to be able to do that. And yeah, sometimes it's just the same things on repeat, and other times it's like experimenting with new recipes. We've got a bunch of cookbooks. Related to that, another question was about why I'm vegan or how long I've been vegan. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I've been vegan for about 11 or 12 years. I think it might be 12 years this year, actually. And before that, I'd been vegetarian since I was 10. So I guess like about 8 years, and then became vegan, and now it's 12 years later. And yeah, originally I became vegetarian for animal rights reasons. Like I just started to make the connection between what I was eating and like the cute animals that I could see. And obviously didn't like that. And then in my teens, most of my friends were vegetarian, and I had a friend who was kind of experimenting with being vegan, doing like one day on, one day off, that kind of thing, and just kind of easing into it. So I did the same thing, basically just copied them, and I've just carried on with it since then. Yeah, I felt like that was quite a good way to do it, to kind of get used to it, because it meant that if I had food that I still needed to eat up and didn't want to waste, then I would just eat it on a non-vegan day. Or if there was something I was really craving, then again, I could just eat it on a non-vegan day and just kind of gradually get used to being vegan all the time. And now I am, and I find it really easy. I think in London, it's incredibly easy. There's a lot of restaurants and you can get everything you need in the shops. My boyfriend and I are both vegan, which makes it a lot easier because it means that we only ever cook vegan food at home, and we both get equally excited about new vegan restaurants to try, or if we're traveling, we both seek out vegan places to eat. I'd say in London, some of my favorites are Mildred's, their sister restaurant Mallow, Jam Delish, Rubala, which is not fully vegan. I think it's fully vegetarian. They have one in Soho and Spitalfields, I think. Tofu Vegan is really good, and Vegan Planet. There's quite a lot. Yeah, I could keep going. So I guess one last question that I'll cover in this video, and then maybe save some others for the next video, is whether I want bottom surgery, which I guess is a slightly maybe deeper and more personal question than some of the others. I will maybe preface this by saying that it's not necessarily something that a lot of trans people are comfortable discussing. So it's not something that you should ask your trans friends as a general rule. Obviously, there are exceptions depending on your relationship with them and how they introduce topics like this and how they talk about themselves and their bodies. But in general, like, other people's genitals are none of your business. I guess I've made my genitals everyone's business, so it's slightly different. But yeah, I'm just going to preface it by saying that because I'd say be careful. I do not want bottom surgery. No, I'm very happy with my body the way it is, and I don't want to change anything. I think I grew up kind of assuming I would eventually have bottom surgery because I had this association that to be a man, you needed to have a penis. Because obviously that's what we're taught at school, that's what we're taught by society in every area of society. And weirdly, I think this is one of the ways that transphobia is so insidious, because by enforcing these like really strict sex binaries, it's like, this is what a man looks like, this is what a woman looks like. It would have been really possible for me to go down that path and think, well, okay, I'm a man, so therefore I need to have a penis, I need to have surgery, I need to, be pushed into this route that was not right for me. I think often people overlook that aspect of transphobia and this policing of gender boundaries and sex boundaries. Obviously, what it really comes down to is bodily autonomy and letting people decide and not putting those kind of restrictions or boundaries on other people and other people's bodies. I think maybe I was lucky to have some formative relationships where I was able to enjoy my body in a sexual way and not feel so much of that pressure to conform to what society says a man should look like or what a man should be. I don't really question that anymore. I know I'm a man. I know that men don't need to have penises. And yeah, that's kind of all there is to it. I don't remember the exact moment when I made that decision. I don't think it was a moment. I think it was a gradual process of figuring myself out and figuring out how I actually feel about my body and what kind of changes I did want to make. Maybe possibly after I had top surgery, which was when I was 18, maybe that was kind of a turning point, because that really made me feel a lot more comfortable in myself. And I think that realization that I was like, okay, like maybe actually this is enough. Like, I'm on testosterone, I've had top surgery, I feel good about myself in terms of my gender and my gender expression. And so I think I was allowed some time and space to sit with that for a while. And I think I was lucky to be surrounded by people who were supportive and understanding and made me feel safe to express myself and be myself. I think in general, with my friends and my family and my romantic and sexual relationships at that age, I was lucky in the sense that with the people that I was open with about my gender and my body, everyone was pretty supportive. Of course, I got some, ignorant comments because we were all teenagers and people didn't necessarily understand. I didn't necessarily understand. But in general, it was pretty good. And I think because of that, I gradually kind of came to the decision or understanding about myself that I was just happy the way I was, the way I am. Yeah. Maybe that last one could have been a whole video by itself. I feel like there's more to say. It's a pretty complicated thing to try to dissect, I guess. So maybe just in short, I'll say no. I like having a pussy. I like being a man with a pussy. But yeah, maybe that's one I can come back to. As I said, I will do another video answering some other questions that I've had. But if you have any more that you want me to cover, then please comment or message me. That would be great. Thank you.